Heck, what? Morning already. I felt thirsty and opened my eyes to see the dazzling morning sun streaming in through the window. I'm John Doe, 28 years old. Just a regular single guy working at an advertising company. Yesterday, we had a company party. Perhaps I drank too much, I can't remember anything. I managed to wake up my lazy body, which still had some alcohol left in it, and looked around to find my tie and bag carelessly tossed on the floor. Perhaps I had let loose a little too much, being our first party in a while. With a pounding headache from the hangover, I stood there in a daze when suddenly my cell phone rang. The call was from my colleague, Bob. "Hey John, good morning. You okay after last night?" Bob's voice on the other end of the phone sounded like he found something amusing. Maybe I messed up after all. Honestly, I'm a bit dizzy with this hangover. I can't remember anything from last night. Did I do something weird? No way. You don't remember doing all that. As the truth unfolded from Bob's words, my face turned redder by the minute. At last night's party, I met our junior colleague, Emma, after a long time. She was a sweet 24-year-old woman, a junior in the department I used to be a part of. However, for some reason, I had been keeping my distance from her. Apparently, Emma didn't find it amusing, and took this opportunity to approach me. "Don't you think you've been a little cold lately, John? You used to be there for me." That's right. Being a senior in the same department, I often listened to Emma's worries. But she consulted me so often without considering my convenience, it was frankly bothersome. "I'm sorry, but I just switched departments and frankly, I have enough on my plate right now. Plus, you have a boyfriend. He might worry if you're frequently dining alone with another man, don't you think?" Yes. Emma had a boyfriend. Yet, she kept insisting on talking and inviting me to bars and restaurants. I listened to her complaints, and because of our positions, I ended up paying every time. Looking back, I might have been taken advantage of. In the past, however, I was swallowed up by her strong pace and was at her beck and call. Tonight, however, I managed to express my intentions with the help of alcohol. I drank too much due to the tension, and my memory cut off from there. According to Bob, she seemed clearly discontent with my words. "So, you won't listen to me anymore, John?" "That's right. I think it's for the best." Even to an outsider, Emma seemed too persistent. I was getting tired of it. Then she provocatively said, "You refuse my talks, but you're often out with department head Catherine, aren't you? Isn't that unfair? She's indeed beautiful, but somewhat aloof, and she's 9 years older than me." "Oh, you're not by any chance attracted to Catherine, are you?" "Don't badmouth Catherine." According to Bob, I abruptly cut her off by slamming my beer glass on the table. Emma, who only knew my usual calm demeanor, was taken aback by my sudden change. But the surprise didn't end there. Incredibly, I made a shocking statement at the party. "Yes, that's right. I love my department manager. You just don't know it, Emma. The manager in reality is really cute. Who cares if she's older? Who cares about her position? I love her. I can't stand it. I'm crazy about her." Just saying it was enough to make me blush, but what was really bad was that at that moment, the manager was standing right behind me. She was late to the drinking party because she had errands that day, and she came at the absolute worst possible timing. After that, I drank too much and blacked out, fell on the spot, and Bob somehow got me home by taxi. Listening to the whole story made me despair at my own reckless behavior, but Bob seemed to enjoy it till the end. To be honest, the way you interfered, Emma, ruined the fun atmosphere of the drinking party. Listening to what you, John, said felt so refreshing. Maybe the manager was happy to receive a once-in-a-lifetime love confession like that. No, there's no way, right? If it's just me embarrassing myself, it would have been fine. But to even get the section chief in trouble is another story. This situation developed, but the trigger goes back 6 months ago. When I was transferred to the advertising department, the manager of the advertising department, Catherine, became my immediate boss. She is 33, 5 years older than me, and single. She has beautiful dark brown glossy hair tied back and beautiful features with cat-like eyes shining in a deep brown color. She stood out even in the office. Not only her work, but also the way she dressed in a suit on her slender figure was dazzling, and she had many fans in the company, regardless of gender. I was glad to be able to work under such an excellent person, but it seemed that she did not have a good impression of me, and actually said this to me: "John, please stop messing up the relationships within the department. Currently, it seems like you're having a relationship with a female employee who has a boyfriend." Apparently, she thinks that I'm having a relationship with Emma. But as I mentioned before, I was just listening to her story. I tried to explain the details, but she said, "That's enough," and cut off my explanation, so the misunderstanding was never cleared up. Actually, I've been approached by many women besides Emma for advice on their problems. I'm not popular with women, I'm just valued as a conversation partner. I myself thought that I might be in this role for the rest of my life, and I was about to give up on romance. The last time I dated a woman was 7 years ago when I was a junior in college. That was when I was a junior in college. My ex-girlfriend Nancy suddenly said, "I've found someone I like, so I want to break up." I was shocked, but Nancy proposed. "I don't want to be lovers anymore, but I hope we can be good friends. I feel very calm when I talk to you, John." As for me, I couldn't hate Nancy, so I said, "Let's do that," with a smile. Looking back now, I was just pretending to be tough, and I might have wanted to show her my good side. I should have just cut off ties with her when we broke up, but because of my false pride, I ended up being manipulated by my ex-girlfriend. Just like now and in the past, I'm always weak to pressure, and for women I'm always just a good guy and I never become their first choice. That was the pattern. Well, my looks are not what you would call handsome, so it can't be helped. One day, a month after I was assigned to the advertising department, I and the manager were left in the office working overtime in an awkward atmosphere as usual. We had received a request for an art exhibition advertisement from a client, and the two of us were creating flyers for the art exhibition. In addition to the exhibition of famous art prints, there would also be posters and related goods for sale. The two of us were each staring at a computer, trying to create an attractive flyer that would entice customers to buy. But there was no one else in the office, and it was awkward to just work silently. Thinking that, I glanced at the manager, and she was staring at a postcard printed with a painting called Water Lilies by Monet, which was one of the sales items for the art exhibition. Thinking it might start a conversation, I said, "It's a beautiful painting," and she brightened her eyes and began to talk happily in a way that was completely different from usual. "Isn't it? Monet is an impressionist painter, and he has painted many pictures of water lilies. This painting on the postcard is owned by the Boston Museum of Art." She talked about Monet passionately for a while. It was the first time I saw her, who was usually cool, talking so much, and I was surprised at her rich knowledge about art. However, after a while, she made a face as if she realized something and said, "I'm sorry, I talked too much," and blushed and looked down. "Why are you apologizing? I didn't know what kind of painter Monet was, so I found your explanation really interesting." I also secretly thought it was cute how our section chief got so passionate talking about what she loved. But she said, "Enough with the pleasantries," and shook her head side to side while blushing. I know. When it comes to talking about art, I just can't help but get excited. That's perfectly fine. If we're working in advertising, knowledge of art is absolutely essential. Our conversation continued to flow naturally, and we were able to make significant progress on our flyer. As the overtime for the day was wrapping up, I decided to be bold and asked the manager, "Would you like to go for a drink?" I thought that since we had warmed up to each other, having a drink would deepen our relationship even further. Initially, the manager squinted at me with a skeptical look. "Well, aren't you involved with your junior colleague, Emma? You don't plan on making a move on an older woman like me, do you?" "No, not at all. Emma is infatuated with her boyfriend, and I'm just someone she talks to." "Really? Well, that's okay. I'm not that kind of woman. We'll have our drink and then head straight home." Despite the manager's initial wariness, we managed to have a drink together at a local bar. The manager seemed to enjoy her draft beer and loosened up enough to talk about art as she had before. She had studied art history in college, and I found her stories fascinating. She seemed to finally let her guard down since I made no further advances. As we left the bar, she said, "I had a great time." I, too, enjoyed spending time with the manager. From that day forward, the walls between us came down. We were able to work more smoothly while maintaining open communication. Whenever our schedules matched up, we would go for drinks. It became our regular activity. One day, the manager opened up to me. "I misunderstood you, John. I've heard from other employees that you often get consulted by female staff about their problems. I had an unfair prejudice against you, and I've been cold towards you, and I truly regret that." I smiled and said to the deeply apologetic manager, "No worries at all. When someone hears that you're alone with female employees, it's a common assumption. But now, I can understand why Emma feels the way she does. Just talking with you, John, is healing in its own way." The manager shared her past trauma with me. "You know how I get really excited and talk nonstop when it comes to art. My previous partner found that repulsive. He didn't expect me to be so talkative because I appear to be a reserved person. It was a shock when he broke up with me because of that, so I've been trying to keep quiet ever since. Looking back, I've been treating you the same way I was treated. It was wrong of me to form a negative image of you before getting to know you." I never imagined that the manager had such a past. She had been pretending to be someone she wasn't after being rejected for being her true self. I would never do that. That's because I genuinely like the manager just the way she is. Spending time together, she became someone special to me before I knew it. "Catherine, I think you're incredibly charming just the way you are. We've managed to understand each other like this, so let's let bygones be bygones. Please, I'd love for you to continue sharing about art with me." At my words, Catherine showed a genuinely happy smile. "Because you're such a good listener, John, you also satisfy my frustrations. I've been holding back for so long, so I'm really grateful. But recently, I've been a little worried about you. You've been frequently asked out by Emma, and you're paying for her meals, aren't you? I think it's a bit different if you listen to her concerns once in a while." "You're right. I've been feeling stressed about my relationship with Emma lately, so I think I'm going to distance myself a bit. Until now, I could only find my sense of self-worth by being close to someone. But since meeting Catherine and falling in love, I've come to want to spend my precious time with my special person." That's how I came to the events of last night. Having fallen in love with Catherine, I tried to keep a distance from Emma, but I never thought I would make such a blunder while drunk. I was beating myself up over it, but I decided to apologize to Catherine first, and nervously made a call. Catherine must have been appalled because I went on a drinking spree. Listening to the dial tone, with a bad feeling in my chest, Catherine answered the phone quicker than I expected. "Hello. Catherine, I'm really sorry about yesterday. My thoughtless actions have caused you trouble. I know an apology won't cut it, but please let me get down on my knees." "Whoa, John, calm down. There's no need for you to do that. Just calm down first. As soon as I heard Catherine's voice over the receiver, I blurted out an apology. From the tone of her voice, it didn't seem like she was angry. Instead, Catherine said something unexpected. I'm actually on my way to your apartment right now. You seemed really drunk yesterday, and I thought your hangover must be rough. I'm coming to check on you. I brought some stuff, so let me in. I hadn't expected Catherine to come to my place. 10 minutes later, the intercom rang, and Catherine had bought not only food, but also mineral water and painkillers. I'm sorry for making you worry. No, it's fine. You have always been so good to me. You drank a little too much last night, didn't you? You don't look so good. You should get some rest today. Catherine said that and comforted me with kind words. But the words "you drank too much" stuck in my chest. Probably, she interpreted my words last night as he couldn't help it because he was drunk, and was silently signaling I don't mind. But I wanted to convey my feelings properly. Catherine, even though I don't remember anything from yesterday, everything I said at the party is true. Huh. When she heard my words, Catherine looked at me with a surprised face, and I quickly started speaking to change the atmosphere while blushing. But, of course, I understand if it's impossible. I'm happy just being by your side, Catherine. If we can continue to work together from now on, that's more than enough. So please, forget what I just said. While I was talking, Catherine hugged me tightly. For a moment, I couldn't understand what was happening, but Catherine was crying, saying I'm happy, with a smile. I was really happy about what you said yesterday, but I thought I shouldn't take it seriously, so I was acting defensive. I never thought you felt the same way about me, John. Huh. You like me too. Yes, spending time with you, I've grown to like you not as a subordinate, but as a man. But you are so kind, John. I've always told myself not to expect anything from that kindness. I've been so mean, advising you to keep your distance from Emma because I wanted you all to myself. I'm just awful, aren't I? Tears streamed down her face as I held her. Like I've said before, I love you just as you are, Catherine. I'm incredibly happy that you feel that way about me. We savored our happiness, holding each other tightly. A year after we confessed our feelings to each other, I invited Catherine into a French restaurant for our first anniversary and proposed to her there. Marry me, I said, handing her a diamond ring. Catherine beamed with joy. What a romantic proposal. My heart's racing. Because when I confessed my feelings, I was so hammered that I couldn't remember it. I wanted to etch the words of my proposal in my brain. I can see that. I will never forget today, even after decades of being married to you. I know that as long as I'm with her, we'll make many wonderful memories together.